Now in their second season, Leadership of the Leaf with more cigar knowledge and more leadership insights. Two great leaders smoking great cigars. Here's our host, Austin and Dice. Grab a drink and jump in with a cut and a light.
Welcome to another episode of Leadership of the Leaf. My name's Austin.
And I am Dice.
And Mr. Dice, what are you smoking this evening?
This evening, sir, I picked up a Christoph guardrail.
Guardrail?
Did you hear about that one? I'm pretty sure you did. You're a cigar guy.
I did. I have heard of that one.
It pays homage to Glenn Case, who was the founder of Christoph Cigars, who had a motorcycle accident, which he actually hit a guardrail. That's the only thing that saved him. That was the only thing that saved. But what drew my attention more than his story, the band actually has like the facing of a motorcycle on it. So I know you're a band guy. Whenever you pick one up, look at the band. It's pretty cool.
Definitely.
But it has African tobacco in it for the filler.
Zimbabwe, right?
Zimbabwe and Dominican Republic are the fillers for the cigar. So interesting stuff.
Very nice. And what Hennessy are you bringing wood to the table?
I am bringing a oak smoked infused VSOP.
Ooh, getting fancy with the smoke infusion. All right. Why not? I like it.
How about you, sir? What are we putting smoke in the air with today?
I am smoking a Christoph Maduro.
Oh, you had me. Yeah,
I know.
It was like hi, then
set you up to dash your hopes quite spectacularly. So it's got a Maduro wrapper, and it's got a blend of Dominican and Nicaraguan long filler tobaccos with a Dominican binder. So I'm looking for a nice little peppery, kind of beefy type, earthy, espresso-y, flavor notes. So I'm interested in it. The band is very plain. I honestly don't know that I would have picked this up. This came in a sampler pack.
Okay.
And I don't know that I would have picked it up. The band is very plain. It almost looks like something out of the Old West.
Yellowstone. Oh, I see. Yeah, I get it.
It's just very sepia toned.
Sepia tone. This motherfucker. Sepia tone. Sepia? Sepia.
I don't know. Anyways, what's our cigar topic, Dice?
No. You're not getting off that easy, sir. With your sepia tone cigar band, what are you drinking with it?
Oh, yeah. What am I drinking? I went with a nice Pulling Station straight bourbon whiskey. So it is quite delicious. I've had it before on this podcast, and I decided to go back to it because I bought another bottle.
Oh, you hear that? Look at that.
Yeah. And you can tell by how much there's left in the bottle how much I enjoy this.
I am looking at the bottle, and it is near the bottom, near empty.
Yeah, it's got about another glass in it, and then it's done.
For our listeners, I call that I need a new bottle.
Yes, 100%. 100% would agree. All right, cigar topic. Dice, go. Ready?
Cigar topic is cigar boxes. Those ornate bastards that keep stacking up around the house. We're going to talk about them.
I like it. Yeah, I think I sent you a picture of, was it EP Carrillo doing those super 1776 numbered hand-painted boxes that looked like phenomenal.
Amazing lacquer finish. Astounding.
Yeah, and then did you see the Mustra de Saca, was it the Negro unicorn or something like that? He put out another unicorn, and it's in a black box, and it's all enameled and stuff.
Wow, I have not. I will need to Google's. I will need to look that up. I would say buy a box, but we both know the answer to that one.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah.
I ain't buying that box.
They didn't call it a unicorn for nothing.
Exactly. So, anyways, for our leadership topic, getting off track here. Leadership topic, we're going to talk about competition versus collaboration. Fighting versus working together.
Fight.
Yeah, I'm down. I'm down with it.
I will meet you in the streets, sucker. But before we get that, we'll just go for our cigar topic, which is cigar boxes. And I actually like cigar boxes. You go into any humidor, like the one here in Vegas, the largest one on the West Coast. Much respect to Uncle Roger. You'll find 90% of the boxes, 90% of the cigars are displayed the same way, which is inside their cigar box.
Yep.
As you know, the cigar box is appealing to the eye. It draws the attention, and most commonly, but
I was say keeps things organized.
Very organized, proper, prim, neat.
Yes.
Prim.
Looking good.
But overall, it protects the cigars, which originally cigar boxes were used to protect cigars during transportation. But in more recent times, cigar boxes are evolved into the utility to attract customers, celebrate special releases, and describe the cigars they contain. So, you know, I look at it as like I go to the arcade and look at the sides of the arcades, and you're like, oh my God, that game looks amazing. And then you go play it. So I go inside like a kid in a candy store looking at all these cigar boxes, and some of them just draw your attention more than others.
Yeah, I've been to a brick and mortar, and they had shelf space, right? But then I don't know if it was a work in progress or they just had overstocked stuff, right? So, but at the end of like the tables, they had stacked boxes of cigars, and like the top one might be opened or it might be closed. And so I asked them, I was like, what are you doing with these boxes of cigars? Are they like, you just selling these by the box? Or are you selling them by the single? Like, what's going on? They're like, oh, no. We'll sell them by the box and the single. We just want to advertise with the boxes. I was like, oh, that was very interesting. It was one of the more interesting ways to do it in a smaller humidor, especially when you got around to like a Placencia box.
Yeah.
Or, like a, I don't know, some of the other boxes are relatively plain and just kind of sad, but like a Macanudo Inspirado, they're not super, Davidoff boxes. Well, Davidoffs usually have their own special display,
right? From
what I see.
But have you ever really like sit down and looked at a Davidoff box? Come on, man, those motherfuckers are just beige, and plain beige.
Yeah, well, it's like Liga Privada.
Oh yeah, just there's a box.
Yep, there's a box. So and they're all right. Like, I mean, the Leaf by Oscars boxes are nothing to write home about. Yeah,
well, we'll get in that because Leaf by Oscar is more of a bundle. But that's part of the notes. You'll see. You shall see, my friend.
Oh, I've already seen. Oh. But yeah, currently box production is one of the limiting factors in the cigar supply chain. Some manufacturers have resorted to shipping cigars to retailers in bundles to cut down wait time. Think factory smokes. While cigar packaging isn't something that most consumers knowingly seek out, they're a critical component of the product cigar manufacturers put out. I've heard and listened to many an interview with cigar retailers and cigar manufacturers, and they're like, oh yeah, this box, it looks so good, like it's got a really neat shade of like green and blah blah blah. Or you get CAO, and CAO boxes like are branded for their particular cigar, right? If it's the Brasilia box, it has a Brazilian flag on it, and it's like a green box. It looks great. And then you start looking at like a punch box or something like that. It looks great.
Well, I know these boxes, listening to, because I heard quite a few interviews too, but in the opposite note, I heard manufacturers like, our cigars are ready to go. We just don't have boxes for them.
Right.
So I've heard it on both sides. But the amount of money and time some of these people spend on boxes, like, I will get more into it, but I know some of them are ornate. Some have like little lights on them when you open them up. It's what? You're spending, the price of the box is going to translate to the cigar.
Right, of course. And my thing is how many of these manufacturers, like, I asked this just gee whiz type thing. I obviously don't know the answer. I'd have to do some research. How many of these manufacturers ask or do a buyback program or something for their boxes, right? Let's say the cigar retailer they buy 50 boxes of Liga Privada, right?
Right.
Boom. They sell 10 boxes by the box, and then the rest they sell by singles, right? So they still have 40 boxes of Liga Privada boxes that are just sitting around. And, what could Liga Privada not get those back and repackage them and, resend those out?
Recoup some of the costs, kind of like old school when you return the bottles to the store, you get like a nickel.
Yeah, something. I mean, there's got to be something they could do. I'm not saying the tax stamps and all this other stuff is something they can recoup and redo, but shit, man, you should be able to sand down wood or something, refinish it or something,
I agree. I 100% agree. I don't know if that's a thing. Maybe there's a company that already does it. It's just not worth the time for the brick and mortar. I'm not sure. Because it got to be cost effective on both ends. Because boxes, of course, they're going to require storage space. So a lot of brick and mortars don't have that much storage space. And if they do have some, they prefer to keep product. Right.
But if you have, let's just S&G this, right? I'm gonna think this throughout. We're going off on a tangent, so bear with us, people. If you have a broker or a retailer that has, they got to order from somebody, right? The salesperson for that brand comes by.
Yeah, the region, whatever.
The regional, whatever. Could you not just say, "Hey, regional, I have these boxes," and the regional goes, "Ah, cool. I will take these from you, put them in the trunk of my car, and drive them to a UPS, to our shipping facility or whatever, and we'll ship them back to Nicaragua, DR, Costa Rica, Honduras, Nicaragua, wherever, and they will get reutilized." I'm not saying that they have to do it all the time. I'm just saying, what, there's got to be an ethical, easy way to do it. Makes sense on both sides.
Correct. I would think so.
Anyways, off on a tangent.
All right. Most historians credit the Cuban manufacturer H. Upmann with being the first to package cigars in boxes for shipment. This is done to protect the cigars, as I mentioned earlier, from damage during transport, like when they ship them on ships. This was done to protect this was also done as an added benefit for better humidification. So throughout the years, H. Upmann has been credited for it. So when they were shipping from Cuba or wherever on the boats and the ships, the cigar boxes again was used for protection. And of course, H. Upmann probably put a little stamp on there, and everybody's like, "Oh shit, I know that's good stuff."
Right. Well, I mean, back in the day too, before we really started getting into importing cigars, it was Mary Jo and Sally Sue down the road at the farmers, the farmers' wives who were growing tobacco, and they were rolling their own stuff and then shipping it out. Nobody knew what was good and what was bad. And then, hey, that's a brand. Oh, that's a box. Oh, look at that. It looks all nice and pretty. Yeah, I want that. That gives me the perception of quality.
Correct.
Boom, I'm going to go with that. And then the retailers could charge more, and then all these other brands started going, wait, they could charge more. That means I could charge them more for my cigars, and I could make more money, and here we are.
Yeah. So you can imagine, before the Civil War times, cigars was mostly tied up in small bundles before the boxes and stuff, and then shipped to other regions for sale. But eventually, the boxes grew and grew, like you was mentioning. And of course, now we have a problem because it was hard to keep track of how many cigars was going out.
Damn taxes, man.
Due to that situation alone,
Yep.
Taxes. Imposed taxes were needed to pack in wooden boxes and stamp that says taxes paid.
Yeah, and after the Civil War, cigar boxes were everywhere in the U.S. They were traditionally made from wood, particularly Spanish cedar, and they still are today. But tin, cardboard, and even plastic have been used. The entire box is usually finished with overlays of decorative embossed paper, emblazoned logos, seals, crests, whatever have you. the Macanudo and Sperado Whites. I think they were in like a embossed cardboard box and with a little bottom of cedar. I remember my dad when I was, I don't know, 8 years old or something. He had a customer bring him a box of cigars or whatever, and so he'd smoked them all, and they were Arturo Fuentes. I remember this specifically. And he just handed it to me, and it was literally just a shitty cardboard box that had just a flip top on the top, and that was it. There was nothing else.
Yeah.
It was just plain as plain could be. I mean, it had all the painting of Arturo Fuente, it had the logos and blah, blah, blah. But it was just, I was like, huh. It wasn't wooden, it was just straight cardboard.
Yeah, back in my day, I think I came across a King Edward, which I think is actually a machine manufactured cigar from the old school days. But that's showing my age. And we're moving on.
Yep. So, in 1863, legislation was passed that required cigar manufacturers to package their cigars in boxes. This was amended later on to require those boxes to contain either 25, 50, 100, or 250 cigars. That way, they could make sure the proper amount of tax was collected, but it has since been repealed, and I think it's actually been changed again, where you can't, once you put the number of cigars in a box and you patent that, you can't change the number of cigars in that box.
Yeah, I think you're right. I'm pretty confident.
Yep, but before we continue too much further, are you in your first third?
I'm close enough.
Close enough?
Close enough. I can talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
So, my first third of what I'm getting, as I did before, I'm getting earthiness. It's a very light earthiness with some hints of chocolate, and on the back end, which is actually, I want to say forefront, but it's definitely the back end of allspice.
Okay. Part of my cigar has gone out, so need to relight really quick. But I am getting earth, espresso, a little bit of cedar, and just a touch of black pepper on the back end. It's a very good cigar.
You saying black pepper, because I get the hint of allspice, and I know what this is going to turn into, but I think Christoph, I think he likes to put black pepper because I believe we smoked a Christoph. You smoked one before. It was the
I smoked a pissed off Christoph.
And I remember you were saying black pepper for that one too. So I think that's kind of maybe his little signature go-to. There's little hints of black pepper sprinkled.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm a black pepper guy. I enjoy it, on various foods and stuff. But this is a nice, just a touch finish. Nothing too spicy, nothing too crazy. Just a nice dusting of it.
Well, traditionally are arranged in one of several distinctive ways. One is 898, and I'm pretty confident you may have seen that on a few boxes. I know I've seen it embossed before. And essentially what that's saying is there's various shapes and sizes of the box, which is going to allow you to lay 8 cigars on the bottom, 9 in the middle, and 8 on the top. And if you got a nice cigar manufacturer, they put a little ribbon in there so you can lift them up.
Yeah, some of them, if they don't have the ribbon, look for the cellophane that is flipped the opposite way from what it normally is. And that's the first cigar that you remove.
Is that what that's for?
Hey.
I'm kidding.
You'd be surprised the number of people. I'm like, yeah, I bought a box, but I had to get a knife and try to dig them out. I'm like, did you see a piece of cellophane that was flipped up? Yeah, I ended up picking that one up 2 days later. I wonder why it was flipped the other way. I'm like, that's so you could get it out of the box first, and then it's easier to. Is it? Oh. Light bulb.
You're a jackass.
Yeah.
No. Everybody got to learn. So now they know. Now you know.
Because knowledge is power.
Yay.
Flat top cigars are packaged in 2 layers and stacked on top of each other, traditionally with a top row of 13 and a bottom row of 12. Recently, manufacturers have been experimenting with new presentations, couple of our favorites have been the Oliva 135th, featuring eye-catching designs that display their cigars in unique ways.
Have you seen that one?
I have not. I have, I think.
It's actually the box is carved out to fit 10 of the cigars. I think it's a pack of 10. And it's kind of like hollowed out just cigars that fit. Almost like if you used to remember the old school when you used to draw a turkey and you put your hand on the paper and draw the lines around it.
Yes,
that's pretty much what they did with the cigars. They fanned them out because it's not a typical cigar shape. The Salomon or torpedo-ish shape.
Yeah. Yeah, I pulled up a picture right now. Yeah, they're very interesting because they're fanned out.
Right.
It's perfecto.
Perfecto shape. What I say, Salomon? Perfecto.
Yep. Very interesting. Very interesting. I like it. But yeah, definitely an interesting type box. Different ways of presentation. Like if you see that sitting on a shelf in a cigar store, I would be like, "Ooh, what's that?"
Yeah,
like that's new. That's interesting. Versus just shit stacked on top of brown sticks on top of brown sticks.
Correct. Correctamundo. Ding, ding, ding. One we skipped over before you continue is a cabinet selection. And I think your Liga Privada.
Yeah.
And I know some of the other brands where it comes in these like little, just whatever normal boxes that has that little slide lid to it.
Yeah. Yeah, and those are just... Those tend to be narrower and only have like 4 or 5, and then they're just deep.
Yeah.
And I think that's a lazy way of doing it. It definitely is. I don't want to say if it's more economical or less economical, but it's just definitely more economical for the cigar retailer because it doesn't take up as big of a footprint on their shelf, so they could put that plus something else. But
yeah, get more facing.
Yeah, I'm just not a huge fan of it.
I do know one of the more modern takes on the boxes is like the Davidoff line or Crux line is where the box is just like plain. It's very minimalistic. While it's the standard for manufacturers to label their boxes with the name, cigar size, and even manufacturing dates, it's becoming increasingly popular for packaging to include visual of tasting notes and strength level. Visual.
Yep.
Customers about what they're buying and serve to make the job of the brick and mortar just a little bit easier.
Yeah, I ordered a box of those Magneto Inspirado White, and when I opened the box, out popped this little tab that was kind of bent over, and I flipped it down, and there was all the tasting notes for the Inspirado White. So it was already like pre-packaged in the box. Like literally all a retailer would have to do would like open the box, flip that little tab down, and like pinch it so it increase it so it's just facing out. Boom, there they go, ready made for the shelf.
Now, do you actually like read those things? Do you acknowledge?
I did read it.
Sometimes I think it's like gimmicky. Like, are you trying to sell me on a cigar? And the answer is yes, Dice. They are trying to sell you on a cigar. And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of nice because, especially if it's a newer brand or the employees new, we've both run into this where I'm like, hey, what does that cigar taste like? And they're like, oh, I don't know, I haven't gotten to that cigar yet, or oh, I don't know. And I'm like, how do you work at a cigar store? Like, you would think that you would smoke something that just came in and like hey, boss, let me buy like 4 of these things so I can go home, I can really smoke it, get the flavor notes that I want, and jot them down or something so I can like have it for when people come and ask me, something. I don't know.
Yeah,
read the label.
I'd be excited.
Yeah.
Like, when we putting that one out? I want to try one now.
Yeah. The cigar box is so instrumental to cigar manufacturers that several have integrated box factories into their organization. Placencia I talked about. Perdomo is another one. They maintain strict quality standards for the raw materials used as well as the finished product. Spanish cedar is obviously still the gold standard. Humidors are made out of Spanish cedar. If you try to do a Tupperware, I don't know of anybody who would recommend not to at least put a little bit of Spanish cedar in the bottom. But that can be costly, often adding as much as like $2 to the cost of each cigar. So for lower price cigars, other woods like eucalyptus, white oak, yellow poplar, in addition to paper and cardboard, like we've discussed, are used. Some high-end boxes are still hand-painted. Many manufacturers employ screen printing to produce boxes more quickly. Wooden boxes use a combination of lacquer and stain to bring out their natural beauty. Which I would agree with 100%. It's just one of those things. Like, I enjoy looking at the box. I will say I had a box of Olivas, and the stain that they used was really, really quite beautiful. The Oliva box was great. But at the end of the day, once I emptied out that Oliva box, I threw it in the trash.
Did you really?
I kept it for a little bit, and then it got to be where the wife was like, "Why do we have this box if you're not using it for anything?" I said, "Fair point, wife. I'll get rid of it."
No, I'm not mad at that. I did keep one that I had signed by Rocky Patel. I still have that one as the Obi one.
Yeah, if I had a signature one, then that's fine. But
I'm with you. I'm with you. Like, why am I keeping this?
Yeah, it was pretty. It was pretty, but I was just like, what? And I don't know how many cigar groups there are out on Facebook and everywhere else, but I don't know how many times people have come, "Hey, what do you guys do with your old cigar boxes? Like, I have like stacks and stacks and stacks of these in my garage, and my wife hates them, and I just don't know what to do with them, but I don't want to get rid of them." What can you do with them? Unless you're going to break them down and try to reuse the wood for something, there's not much to do with them.
Well, I'm going to tell you what to do with them, little Bobby. You take that stack of boxes, you go down to your local brick and mortar, they'll give you a nickel for each box.
See?
No, that's not true at all. But how cool
Give me 5% off my next purchase.
I'll take it. Shit, it's an empty box. It's trash. Give me 1%.
Yeah, something.
Oh, man. Cigar boxes. Well, here's something you can do with them, sir. Cigar boxes have become ubiquitous that they have gone on to serve secondary purposes.
What?
Going as far back as the Civil War, cigar boxes were repurposed into fiddles, and cigar box guitars were at a central part of blues movement during the Depression, when many artists was too poor to afford a traditional built guitar. Some famed artists as Ronnie Wood from the Rolling Stones, Paul McCartney, Beatles,
Billy Gibbon. Oh, ZZ Top.
Yeah. Fucking loser.
I'm
a loser, not him, me. Ed King from Lynyrd Skynyrd. Play some Skinners, man. Have all played cigar box guitars. There's also a variety of art that can be made from these boxes. I mean, there's different things you can repurpose these boxes for, but to stack them up in your garage and let them sit there to become a fire hazard, I disagree.
Yeah, no, I mean, I would 100% disagree. Some people try to sell them on eBay, and I'll be honest, you don't really get much for them. Especially some of the bigger brands like Oliva, the catalog brands, I call them.
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, you can buy some of those boxes for super cheap, with cigars in them. Relatively cheap, and then you have the empty box of you have the empty cigar box, and if you're not handy or you're not woodworking inclined, there's nothing really that you can do. So you can try to repurpose them, give them away, do whatever, donate them to a wood shop. I don't know, go to your local high school and donate them to the wood shop. Some other types of boxes are the box press cigar boxes. They're usually just equal to the number of cigars stored in two different layers of a box. And obviously there's different boxes, labels, brands that are treated as subject of art. Several businesses are now specializing in cigar boxes, right? We just said, hey, give them to your local high school wood shop, whatever. But there's some that are specialized in cigar boxes, and there are even books printed on their meaning, designs, and significance. different shapes and unique designs such as Adventura, the ship design, or the United Cigars Stadium Series. Cigar boxes and the related labels can be considered a collectible item. Now, there was a box, I think it won Cigar of the Year in 21 for somebody, and it was a humidor box. You remember what I'm talking about?
I do know that some manufacturers have cigar humidor like boxes, but I don't remember which one you're referring. Because I remember some stuff like not the Rose of Sharon. What's I can't remember the name of it either. Romeo and Julieta.
So some brands actually have their boxes become humidors. They package them in a humidor and then ship them out, which is kind of a nice way to doing it. Obviously, you're going to pay more for that because that's more cedar that they're putting out there. But I feel like that's a nice way to do it. Like if I got a box of cigars in, and let's say it's a 100-count box, then and they say, hey, this is also a humidor. Oh, hey, at least I got a 100-count humidor for me, and I could use it as a nice desktop humidor or something like that, and make it, repurpose it a little bit easier than like a 25-count box of Oliva or something that's just flat.
Yeah, I do know Davidoff. They didn't really have a box for the Chef Edition. It was actually an ashtray with a cedar like lid for the ashtray that you can turn over and hold drinks on top of that. But I mean, they're getting pretty fancy with cigar boxes because cigar boxes is just a sea of beige and brown now. So everyone is even. We was talking before the show, the EP Creole and that is lacquered and hand painted for 1776. The Pledge of Allegiance.
Yep.
I mean, that's amazing what these guys are doing now.
Yeah, it's so nice that obviously they have artists, right? I blending. You'll never not convince me that blending cigars is an art. So they have artists upon artists upon artists that are like, ooh, what if we did this? And they're just that creative type of person. So yeah.
Well, that leaves with the last note. Although sometimes they're taken for granted, cigar boxes are an integral part of cigar culture, which we 100% talked about. So next time you're in a humidor, take a few minutes and look at the packaging. For products have detail and craftsmanship that the cigar boxes endure. So if you actually look at a cigar box, looking at the seams, some of them have dovetails, like the artistry. Did I say that right? Artistry.
Yep.
Of some of these boxes, the way they're put together it is clearly a work of art, especially when you spend a little money on something. Like I know Padron, some of their boxes and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You spend some money on these boxes. They are very elaborate, very fancy, very ornate, and they actually tell a story just with some of the paintings and stuff, the hand paintings that some of these boxes endure.
Yeah, and if I ever got a nice, hand painted box or something, obviously that's something that's collectible, right? That's a keepsake item. There's so much detail and craftsmanship in these that are just so nice. But there's different boxes, labels, brands that are treated as a subject of art. They have books printed on their meaning and designs and significance. There's different shapes and unique designs, like the Adventura, which had a ship design, or the United Cigar Stadium Series, which was a baseball stadium. Cigar boxes and the related labels could be considered a collectible, depending on which one you get. Now if you just go, hey, I'm going to go buy a box of Leaf by Oscar, and it's just like kind of a bundle loosely packed in some rough, loose tobacco leaves that have barely a box or something, then maybe that's not necessarily a collectible item. But
correct,
you go get these Musha de Saka black unicorns. That's some nice shit right there. I'm gonna hold on
to that. Yes, 100%.
You and your second, third?
We'll be right after a break.
Sounds good. All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Break.
Check me out, guys, on Instagram at Flavor King with 2 G's on there. And it's been a pleasure listening to Leadership of the Leaf here with Dice and Austin.
All right, welcome back. We just had a quick little break. Enough time to assess the situation so you can tell all our listeners about your second third.
Gets me while I'm taking a puff. The earth is still there. Cedar has kind of come out, and that black pepper is coming out more towards the forefront. And there's a leathery component to it. It's very good. So far, it's really good. Well balanced. Good cigar.
Yeah, my pepper has definitely built up in the second half. So that allspice moved to more of a black pepper tone, which we was talking about before. But it's not overtly intensive, an intense blast of pepper, because it's also like a mix of creaminess that blends with it. So it's like a blast of pepper with the creaminess to finish it off to balance it.
Yeah,
that's what
nice.
I'm trying to say.
Well, semi-said?
Good enough.
Good enough. All right. So before the break, we were talking about cigar boxes, which are so... Everybody just talks about boxes, right? They're ingrained in cigar culture, if you will.
Correct.
And now we're going to get to our leadership topic, competition versus collaboration. You know, Dice, there's a saying.
What's that saying, sir?
If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with the team.
When I read that saying, I immediately thought of Tough Mudder. I went with a Tough Mudder with Linder Bob and crew. They left me, so I was alone. So they got far. I was going fast, but they got far. How they got far? There's obstacles. Anybody ever did a Tough Mudder? There's lots of obstacles. You need a buddy or friend to help you over a wall or through mud or whatever you're going through. They were a group that left me. I was going slow. I had a knee injury, but besides that, going alone, I assume I was going fast, but I wasn't going very far. So I had to team up with people throughout the way, which helped me along. And without the team, I wasn't able to make it as far as I did.
Yep. Yeah. It's definitely one of those things where, it's a collaboration effort to make sure everybody finishes the line. Because then it's just not fun if nobody, you want to finish first. That's always there, right? Human behavior is innately competitive, right? That goes all the way back to our caveman days. If I kill something and drag it back to my cave, or if I gather something and I take it back to my house or hut or whatever the place is, right? That's a resource that I now have that you don't have, that now I'm going to be able to survive with this food and you're not, because I have something that you don't.
Right. I equate it, I don't have any siblings, but I equate it to fighting with siblings for that last piece of chocolate cake, or the caveman fighting for the last zebra leg. I don't know, whatever fucking cavemen eat. Teams are individuals at sports. Of course, sports is definitely competitive just by nature alone.
Right.
Rushing to buy that one It toy for Christmas, the pre-sale tickets for the
Black Friday
must-go-to concert, Black Friday sales, even to job interviews.
Yeah. I mean, I grew up with siblings, and it was very, always very competitive. Teams, they always say there's no I in team, and they're like, wait, nope, yes there is. It's in the A-hole. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah. Wait, I found it.
Yeah. Look at the fucking craziness that is surrounding a Taylor Swift concert.
Oh, the Swifties, T-Swift.
I'm just saying, like, her tickets are going crazy. I mean, Beyonce's tickets went a little bit crazy too, and everybody, I gotta go to see this movie. I gotta go see this concert. I gotta do this. It's a once in a lifetime event. Everything's once in a lifetime. Throwing that out there to anybody and everybody. Everything is once in a lifetime.
Well, stuff like that naturally brings out that competitive nature.
Right, of course. But some advantages, there's competition that can produce in the workplace. Advantages of competition. There's innovation. Competition sometimes will encourage people to seek out ways to beat their competitors, thus implementing new processes or using new technology to reach their goals faster. I don't want to say new innovation, but or motivation, right? So then there's the highly competitive environment can push you out of a comfort zone and be a strong motivator to excel in your work compared to your colleagues as you push to go that extra mile at work. Back in the early industrial revolution days, right? There was people who studied teams and leadership and management styles, and they said, hey, what if we implement a incentive-based pay, right? So if I produced 10 widgets, I got paid more than the guy that produced 8 widgets. Boom, there's competition. And, so now he wants to go, wait, he got paid more than I did? Oh, I got to produce 10 widgets. Well, I don't want him to get paid more than I do because I'm a competitive person. I'm going to produce 12 widgets. But then at a certain point, you start sacrificing quality for quantity.
Right. As you were saying, that with that competition, your scenario described, that's improved performance. The combination of strong motivation and adopting new ways of working can push your limits and improve your performance in the workplace. However, competition with your colleagues wears you out. It's simply not a sustainable strategy if you want strong employee retention and great company culture. Internal competition cannot yield long-term success, and is why. When it comes to internal competition, like when I say here is why, is the stress level of me always trying to one-up you with the competition. Eventually, I'm going to wear myself out. As you said, the quality is going to go down because my quantity is going to go up. My whole goal is not to make something amazing. My whole goal is just to make a lot of little somethings.
Yeah,
if they're amazing, cool. Yeah, the more I pump out, the more money I get. So the stress level, a healthy dose of competition can be motivating, but too much competition in the workplace can be stressful. With stress comes absent, disengagement, and poor team relationship.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about it. If you don't, it's not a sustainable strategy. If you want great company culture, a lot of competition usually leads to toxic work culture. There's less learning opportunities when you compete with your colleagues. There's no opportunity to learn from them, right? If you're coming in and you're top dog making 20 widgets, and I come in and I'm like, hey man, could you teach me? You're not going to teach me all the secrets to your success because you don't want me to sit there and beat you. So you're going to have to. So you want to teach me just enough to make me, hey, I trained you. Yeah, I did my job. Cool. Go away now. And I'm going to have to figure out on my own how to keep up and how to make sure I make enough widgets to feed my family or whatever. And then you have that lack of trust. It's incredibly important for successful workplaces to have trust. It makes you feel secure, in such an environment, you can allow yourself to be creative, innovative, and ultimately lead to a more prosperous end result.
Well, it also can lead to lack of trust, like you were saying, but less diversity and inclusion. So research shows that men are less fearful of risk and inherent to competition because that's what men do. We go out, we hunt, we gather, right?
Right.
I mean, it's in our nature. While women rather avoid competition, where normally they go out and hunt. Normally all the women are still at home around the campfire raising children. I'm not being sexist. I'm just saying how our genetic was made up from the beginning. Therefore, encouraging competition in the workplace can lead to poor diversity and less inclusion. Now, if I was to take just the men and women aspect out of the scenario to where you were saying you can build 20 and I can build 10, and I ask you how to do it, and you pretty much tell me to fuck off. I mean, that's less diversity and less inclusion. You're not including me in with this whole scenario to where I'm still going to be stuck building 10. Maybe I can get up to 11 because you don't want to share. You don't want to diversify your knowledge.
Get good, scrub.
Exactly.
So you got to think, how can we reposition our competitiveness so it becomes mutually beneficial? So instead of competing with your peers who have unique strengths and skills that benefit the wider team, implement competitiveness through key performance indicators or a similar framework for your goals. These metrics could be something small, such as your content output per month, or a large goal like customer acquisition or retention clientele. When your competitive behavior focuses on successes through continual improvement, there's no losers, there's only winners. And I see it a lot of times where teams will compete against other teams, right? The sales branch at the Chicago company will compete in sales with the Las Vegas branch of the company, right? So now I have these two sales forces trying to compete, trying to get bigger fish and bigger and bigger and bigger, and they're trying to compete. It's not anything bad. It's a healthy competition because they don't really have any interaction other than, maybe an email or an IM, a ha ha ha, shit talk, whatever. But at the end of the day, the company is winning because Las Vegas is in a completely different region than Chicago. So now there's no way to overlap clientele, and your business is just going to grow.
Right. I also like to have the competitive nature of competing against what I did before. I know when I practice basketballs, I shoot free throws. I'll shoot 100 free throws one week. I make 50 of them. Next week, I want to make more than I did the week previous. I just want to better I'm not competing with anyone in particular. I'm competing with that number I did last month. I'm competing with that number I did last year. So I know a lot of sales tracking and everything. If you ever been in a boardroom and you see a lot of times I have a red line and a blue line or two different color lines. And one line is with the sales from last year and the other line is the sales from this year. And then it also has the variables of what was different from that year. Oh, it was COVID during that time frame. So this is why. So you can kind of compete with whatever your sales were the previous. So going against your KPIs, your key performance indicators, is also another competitive way to where you're not really pitting your people to be cutthroat with their other fellow teammates.
Yeah, competition's not inherently bad. It just does have that tendency to hold us back from achieving our greatest potential because it can be disruptive. If I compete against myself, I've done it before where I've competed against myself, and unbeknownst to me, somebody was trying to compete against me, and all I was trying to do is compete against myself, and they got really mad and it was frustrated with me. And they're like, I just can't believe you would do that to me. And I was like, do what to you? What are you talking about? And they were like, well, I was trying to race you on this, and you did something and walked off and had to you taken care of another problem, and you didn't take the race seriously. I was like, I didn't even know we were racing. I was competing against myself. I've done it before. Hey, you have 12 hours to fix this problem. Got it, boss. I'm going to do it in 11. Next time, I'm going to do it in 10 and a half. I want to get to the best number that's physically possible and maintain consistency at that level.
Well, I mean, healthy we even competed against each other before.
Yeah.
And I mean, there was no hard feeling. There was no anything. It was just really just more of a training asset, OJT, like on-the-job training tools that was utilized. You was good at your craft, and I was good at my craft, and we was just trying to see who's not better at the craft, but who can actually perform the craft quicker. Because I wouldn't say I'm any better than any other person. I'm just, or maybe I've been doing it a little bit longer. So friendly competition, it's okay. Too much can be unhealthy. Like if we did that same task every week, just competing back and forth, I don't know. Maybe I'll grow tired.
Yeah, and it's gonna start to erode trust, because then I'm gonna start getting frustrated by either unfair competition or being like, man, I gotta go up against this motherfucker who, is just better than I am, and this is bullshit, and I hate this fucking company, I hate this job, and I'm gonna leave. Well, now you just lost somebody good. Even if I was producing 9 widgets and Dice was producing 10. And I'm still losing, like, I'm going to be like, nah, fuck this. I can go to this other company where they only want me to produce 8 as a team together, and they're happy, and they're making the same amount of money that I am. This is bullshit, and I don't have to worry about this. Boom, I'm going to go over. Now you just lost a great producer because of competition.
Well, collaboration is the other side of this whole battle, and there's 5 reasons why. There's more than 5, but 5 reasons why collaborating instead of competing is good for the team, for business. Fit in whatever you like there. And the first one is exposure in front of different audiences. Your competitors do not have the same exact audience as you. Yes, they may have some overlap, but they have email subscribers, Instagram followers, Facebook fans. They may not know everything about your business, but if both of you team up on the same forefront, then you may pull some of their customers, or they may pull some of your customers. But I mean, as essentially, collaborating can be a great way to get your business in the front of different audience that may not know your brand because they only know brand X and your brand Y. We can see many times during webinars where people that may seem like they would be competitors, they partner up and expose their business brand to a whole new audience. So like these TED Talks and all kinds of different conventions and stuff that come up, a lot of times the competitors have the same stage. They're talking the same thing, but they're representing a whole different brand just to appeal to a wider audience, because maybe not everybody knows about Tesla. Maybe
Right.
they only know about Polestar or Rivian. Like, oh, Tesla, this is amazing. So it just opens the eyes up for your competition to team up better for a collaboration to gather a bigger audience.
Right. And I mean, you could see that now. Tesla opened up its just to use Tesla, right? They opened up their charging plug and for use by everybody else, and like two major and one newer company have started using their charging ports. Ford, GM, and Rivian have all stated that they're going to go over to the Tesla standard. That's a collaboration effort, and now because of those, now all these other companies that are energy distributors, so to speak, they have the charging infrastructure like ChargePoint, Blink, the people who make the cabinets that provide the electricity. Right, they're all going, oh, well, we'll support that charging standard as well. We'll start making plugs to go with that, and we'll start making our hardware fit that stuff. So it just opened the door to make everybody better. Obviously there's going to be holdouts, but like just because those few people are doing that, they're like, oh, now Ford people, hardcore Ford people are like, oh, I didn't realize Tesla was like this. Now maybe I'll go explore Tesla. Or, hey, Tesla, a hardcore Tesla person is like, oh, GM and Ford have that? Maybe I'll go explore their brands too. I don't feel trapped by this one plug or whatever the case happens to be. So it's definitely interesting. A rising tide raises all ships, right? And people like supporting supportive people, right? That's number two. If you knew a business you were buying from had a jerk as an owner, would you still buy from them? Would you still buy from them if somebody was selling a similar product was the nicest person you'd ever met? No, I wouldn't. If I walked into McDonald's, right? Let's just use something for everybody. If I walked into a McDonald's and their customer service was so shitty, I've done this before. Their customer service was so shitty. I was like, I'm not even buying from you anymore. And I walk out and I go right across the street or right next door to a Burger King. I walk over to a Burger King and they're the nicest people I've ever met and their customer service is great. Hell yeah, I'm gonna spend my money there. And maybe I go try McDonald's again, and then I like, oh, you're the guy that walked out of me to go to Burger King. Yeah, because you guys were dicks.
Yeah.
What do you want from me? I'm not buying from somebody who I can't get along with. I like a salesperson. I like somebody to try to sell me things, and usually that involves being personable, right? Customers like supportive people. Your followers will notice if you're collaborating with other businesses, and that's going to reflect positively on you, right? Just to use us as an example, we collaborated and interviewed Sticks and Stones, Wanda Hernandez, right?
Yep.
Both. Now I had a great time with that interview, and I will be happy if I ever see her Sticks and Stones brand in a brick and mortar or online or something that I can get. I am absolutely going to buy it, hands down. I know she's a nice person. She's an amazing human being. Boom, buying it from her. versus somebody who I don't know, or I've, I heard an interview and they're like kind of standoffish and dickish. I'm not going to go to that person. To that point, Glenn Case for Christoph Cigars, nicest person from what I could tell that you'll ever meet. Yeah. I'm not, if I found out Nick Perdomo was a dick, I'm probably not going to buy Nick Perdomo stuff. I'll probably go buy some Christoph stuff.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I know the wife and I, we have a list of places where we'll never go back to. And when I say we'll never go back to, we will never go back to. It's small in stature, but I mean, it holds a standard to our ability to say that, hey, we weren't happy with their service. We wasn't happy the way we was treated in this establishment, so we will never go back. There's plenty of other competitors out there to go to for you to be this way. So because you act that way, we'll never go to your establishment again. I'm not going to share the names of the companies on air, but Austin, I think you know a few. But we just will never go back to these type places again. The competition is out there is vast. The competitors is out there. The collaboration of some of these other companies is great. So why would I spend my money with a clown?
Right. I mean, that's what Yelp was built on, right? Is customer reviews. So if I go to a company, and 9 times out of 10, the reviews are correct, right? I look at the ratings, and if I go to just a restaurant, right, and I go to a new area, I'm like, ooh, what's the Yelp score? What's the Google review? How many stars do they got? Right? If they have a 2-star rating and I start reading and they're like, these guys are dicks, the food tasted horrible, whatever, I'm like, all right, they must know what they're talking about. I'm going to go to some other competition.
Correct. The more minds, the better. 2 brains are better than 1. When 2 great minds come together, extraordinary things can happen. Consider the value you can offer your audience by working together with another business instead of competing. You do not necessarily have to go to business with someone else, but you can develop a project or a product together that you both can promote to your audience. You can make a much bigger impact collaborating with another business versus doing it all on your own. And the cigar industry is a perfect example of that. How many collaboration of cigars have you seen?
Too many to count.
Exactly. Did you know that Acid and United had a cigar together?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did not know that. I had to read it, and I was like, oh, they have a cigar together that's banned, 2 cigars on 1 band, so you can buy it and share it with someone. It's called Amigo, Acid Amigo, by United Cigars and teamed up with Drew Estate.
Yeah, I mean, you look at some of these other companies, and they're like, hey, this company actually gets produced by this company's factory, or whatever. Like, damn, I'm trying to remember one I just went blank. But there's so many instances of like, oh yeah, we blend for that company. They kind of tell us their vision and what they're looking for, and we collaborate, and then we make their cigars, and then they band them and sell them. Boom.
What? EP Creo and Perdomo, I think it was.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
So it's 2 minds are definitely better than 1. I will say it's more costly to do it that way, because then you have to come to consensus. You have to take everybody's opinions into account and blah, 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 blah. But you usually end up at a better decision overall than if you would have just said, fuck it, I'm going to make this my own and go about it that way.
Well, I'll look at it this way. I may have widget A and B. You have widget 1 and 2. Widget A and B, they kind of work. I'm doing okay. You're doing okay. But if I had widget 1 and A together, now we're talking. Now we got something, buddy.
Yeah, I've often said, if McDonald's and Burger King ever merged, I'd want Burger King's burgers with McDonald's fries.
And a Wendy's Frosty.
and a Wendy's Frosty. I mean, like, let's be honest. Like, if you could have you could walk into one store and have all of that all at once from the same place, how happy would you be? How happy would your wife be?
Yes.
Another point is you cannot do it all alone. even if your business is thriving, you're going to get to a point where you can't do it alone. You're going to need some help. In addition, that help could come from someone that runs a business that's similar to yours. Perhaps you could collaborate with another business to offer a service together instead of offering services separately. Or maybe you could just use each other as a sounding board to bounce ideas and get inspiration. You don't want to go through business ownership alone, and you shouldn't have to. Plenty of people who would want to collaborate with you. You just have to find the right ones who aren't dicks. But if you had, I met a guy, and this was the funniest thing to me. So the guy was an insurance adjuster, and his dad owned a construction repair business. I was like, if that's not the biggest racketeering thing I've ever heard. Because he was like, yep. And he would quote it. He would talk with it. He's like, yeah, I just go. And I'd look at it, and I know what my dad would charge for that stuff. And usually, he's like, already it's cheaper than what most everybody else offers. He's like, but I pay over that as an adjustment because I got to go with the market median. And then they ask, who would you go through? I give them a list with my dad's as the top name. And 9 times out of 10, they call my dad, and he gets the business or whatever else. And I'm like, that is the biggest racketeering bunch of bullshit. But it's a collaboration. It works great. The insurance adjuster gives you a list of people. You don't have to call his dad. You can have a little list of people, but his dad closes the deal, right? He starts it. His dad finishes it. They both profit off of it, and everybody is happy, and nobody gets, dragged over the coals or anything.
Well, that's perfect because the next step is to grow your business. Collaborating is like borrowing sugar from your neighbor. You ask for some sugar, and they do you a favor by giving you some. The following week, you notice that their car needs a jump, so you help them out with some jumper cables. I'm an insurance adjuster, and I'm helping you out. So here's my father, who's also going to help you out. It's collaborating. It's perfect. It gives and take relationships where you can help each other out when you need help the most, which is exactly what collaborating can do for your business. So that works out great.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many times I've gone out to my neighbor and I'm like, do you need help cutting your yard? I noticed it's getting a little long. I'm not trying to be a dick, but do you need help? Like, they're like, oh my gosh, yes. I need so much help because I have a sick kid and I just can't get to it right now or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, no problem. It takes me, I'm already cutting mine. What's another yard? It's another 20 minutes or whatever to cut your yard. Boom, cut it both and call it a day. No big deal. And then next time, I'm like, hey man, I really need somebody to watch my kid while me and the wife, our babysitter, just backed out. And they go, oh, I can help you out with that. And I'm like, oh, you're the greatest. Yeah, you cut my yard for me. Least I could do is watch your kid for you for a couple hours. Oh, thank you so much. Boom, right there. Collaboration, everybody wins. We all end up happy at the end of the day.
Correct. What more could you want, right?
Exactly. I mean, $1 million, but
right. So, Austin, the natural question, because we talked about competition, we talk about collaborating. The natural question is, can't we do both?
Yep.
Of course, we can do both.
Yeah. So here's an analogy, right? A wolf pack collaborates to hunt, and once the hunt's complete, they compete for the flesh, with the alpha taking the bigger bite. So organizations should recognize both competition and collaboration as forces with each with its place in the relevant context. The best teams encourage both. Leaders of teams should collaborate with their peers to compete against the industry and outside competitors. And one of the key things to keep in focus is that the collaboration is not about leveling the playing field, so to speak. It's about helping each person perform to the best level and achieve success for the company as well as themselves. So collaborative environments are those where employees not only work together, but also constantly compete with themselves and the outside companies to execute ideas and become better every single day. So I 100% we can have both.
Yeah. Well, I look to that analogy that's at the beginning of this, the wolf pack, right? So let's say there's 2 wolf packs. So now the main wolf pack is like, we're going to take this, which they're competing with the other wolf pack. So they win and they take down the zebra, antelope, or some shit like that. Now there's 5 wolves in the wolf pack. Now they're going to fight amongst each other. Who's going to get the best piece or the biggest piece? So they work together to go in and take it down, defeating their competition because they got the antelope first. And now amongst themselves, they're going to feed on who gets the bigger piece.
Yeah.
So I love that analogy.
Yeah, I mean, if I look at it kind of like this, like if I'm competing with another company, or I'm going to use the best minds of my company to compete with another company, right? Let's say we do end up beating them and we perform a merger or something like that. Well, now I want to take the best of their people and the best of my people and keep taking down the competition and keep collaborating within my own company to take down my competition. I'm going to use the best that I can to do the job to take down the competition, get the biggest market share, get the best sales numbers, whatever the case is, and go from there, and then worry about everybody else within my organization, make sure they all get fed as needed.
A great example of that is let's take it to the tobacco industry, the premium cigar industry. Mm-hmm. Brick and mortars within a state, they get together to go fight City Hall or the White House with all these rules and laws and regulations that they have. They work together to get tax caps on taxes and stuff like that as a collaboration effort. But once they achieve that goal working against the taxes and stuff, now they go back to the individual brick and mortar stores, and now they're competing against each other. But they work together to against all this tax brackets and everything that's going on. So, I mean, it's a collaborating effort, but they're still competing once it gets down to their level, to where everyone is on the same page. But it's not about leveling, but it's about trying to achieve the same goal.
Yeah, and I mean, there's inherently big shops within a city, right? You go to the cigar outlet versus the tobacco leaf, right? One's big, one's small. They both want the same thing. They want to cap the taxes on tobacco sales. But after they win that battle, they're going to go back to their respective businesses and go, we won this. All right, cool. Now, how do I position myself to take out the bigger competition? And the bigger competition's saying, how can I position myself to make sure the smaller competition doesn't come up from behind? And how can I take a bigger chunk of the market share?
Collaboration is an essential way to achieve success, whether it's in your personal or professional life. Working together as a team can lead to more innovation, ideas, and solutions that can help you reach your goals faster. Collaboration allows for sharing of knowledge and skills, leading to more and well-rounded approach to problem solving.
Yeah, so there's a story, I was just reading about it. It happened a couple of years ago. The airline industry there's an increase in international travel, right? Tourism, businesses, the like, right? Global communities getting larger. So there's an increase in international travel. So companies were wanting to pick up more international trade routes. Well, international routes, but there's no routes to fly, right? The skies are already basically at max capacity. So what they decided is hey, we need a bigger plane to ferry more people at one time. So Boeing comes out, there's Boeing and you have Airbus. So Boeing comes out with their 787 Supermax, right? They have three choices. Modify an existing plane to carry more people, collaborate with Airbus to potentially make an even bigger plane, or just design their own bigger plane. So they tried to work with Airbus, didn't work out. Boeing didn't want to work with Airbus. And so Airbus had to come out with their biggest plane that they could that carries 700 passengers. And Boeing had modified their stuff to carry 675 passengers or some shit. And so they ended up not collaborating and competing. But I kind of wonder what would have happened if they were able to collaborate on one aircraft, a Boeing Airbus collaboration plane. Maybe they would have been able to carry 900 passengers or 1,000.
Yeah. pardon the pun, but sky's the limit.
Ha, ha, ha. But today's fast-paced world competition is usually seen as the only way to succeed. However, if they worked collaboratively with others, they can offer numerous benefits just beyond just achieving success. Collaboration can help build stronger relationships between people, organizations, and usually foster positive change in communities. So therefore, it's important to consider collaboration as an effective way of achieving success rather than solely relying on competition. That's our nature, so that's what we usually fall back on, right?
Right.
But by doing so, we open ourselves to new opportunities. If we collaborate, we open ourselves to new opportunities, diverse perspectives, and experiences that ultimately lead us to our desired outcomes. And usually, it's better for the mass market if people collaborate, right? If I'll go to the cell phone industry, right?
Yeah.
Apple has not changed their shit in I don't know how many versions. They've made minor changes and still remain the top leader. However, Samsung is way more innovative, right? Look at the Galaxy Z Fold 3, right?
Yeah.
And I looked at that thing, I was like, man, that is a sweet ass phone. If it came as an Apple, I'd be all over it. Or it came with Apple's hardware and software, because Apple usually has the best software. Fight me if you will. Apple has better software. Then I would be all over that sort of phone. But Apple is getting comfortable where they're at. They're kind of leveling off. And meanwhile, Samsung and Android phones are still trying to catch up with them. And then you got the Google Pixels and the Microsoft phones, which I don't even count anymore.
But the innovation of that Samsung phone is actually very amazing. The wife actually has one, and compared to my Apple phone, it does wonders. But there's certain aspects of my Apple phone that just really kind of blows that one out of the water.
Yeah, exactly.
So just imagine a world where if they collaborated.
Exactly. I mean, you can look at it as go into the car industry. Ford is always on the leading edge of technology, right? You look at some of their new vehicles, and I'm not talking electric vehicles, I'm talking just regular vehicles. They have some of the nicest, best new technology that has ever been seen, and I'm like, man, that is so nice. That's super nice. I can't believe that thing isn't more widely adopted. Meanwhile, GM is like sitting back waiting on that stuff to be tested and work out the bugs, and then they put it out a couple years after Ford, and Ford's already moved on to something else. GM usually has it a little bit more reliable. So what if they had collaborated and Ford introduced the new product, GM refined the product, and they put it into one car and sold that?
Yeah, that collaboration would be that'd be a win-win for almost everyone involved. It'd be a win-win for both the auto industry, and as the consumer, we would definitely have a win-win situation for us as well because of the innovation that car would actually have.
Yeah. So just focus on winning, only winning, then competition is usually the right way to push yourself ahead. But if you really, really, really want to make an impact on whatever industry, market, whatever you're in, you have to work with others. There's some way, come up to something, and the opportunity is going to present itself to go, hey, what if we collaborated with our competitor? They're reaching out. Hey, I got widget A and B. They got widget 1 and 2. I need a 1A or a 2B or something. I want to make that thing, and they're offering to collaborate. Why would
I have a question, sir. Are you in your final third?
Just about. What about you?
I am in my final third. Now I'm ready to tell you that this wonderful cigar that I am smoking, the Guardrail, is very slight. It's still there. I can still taste that pepper. The creaminess is kind of drying out a little bit. The cedar is sweet, and I want to say cocoa because it's kind of drying out. I would say it's like a dryish kind of cocoa. Like the kind you put in milk.
Yeah,
it kind of has that flavor tone to it to me. But this is a wonderful smoking cigar. My burn is kind of deteriorating a little bit on me, but maybe I dropped it. I'm not sure. It had a little crack on it. I don't remember dropping it. Maybe my kid was playing with it. I don't know, but I'm not going to hold that against it because this is, like I said, I smoked this one before. The burn line is excellent. It's a good cigar.
Nice, yeah. This one is an earthy, leathery kind of cedar in the back with cedar in the background. There's a slight pepper finish, but nothing overpowering. But it's definitely a good cigar. It almost has a beefy quality to it at the end. This is a very, very good smoke. And like I said, had I not gotten this in a pack, I probably wouldn't have drawn to this cigar. Other than the fact that it's a Christoph, and Christoph's usually a pretty good brand. I probably wouldn't have been like, I would have tried it eventually, but this wouldn't have been the first go-to cigar for me.
Same. I'm pretty confident if you was at a brick and mortar and your cigar you're smoking, the Christoph Maduro, was right beside the Christoph guardrail, I almost guaranteed you would pick the guardrail up over that Christoph Maduro. Just because of the band. Guarantee.
Oof.
Sir Charles. Guarantee it, because the band on this one is definitely it's a shiny silver. It's a little more ornate. It definitely would catch your eye more than the one that you're currently smoking.
Well, I mean, the fact that they're both Christophs, right? And they're both a Maduro-esque blend and color, right?
Right.
I would probably look at it and go, that's just a regular Maduro, but that's a guardrail. I'm going to try the guardrail first, and then I'll eventually come back to the Maduro, knowing full well that it could take me years to get back to the Maduro.
Yeah. Unless we was doing a special Maduro episode and you was like, I got to get this anyway.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so we talked about cigar boxes, and we got to talk about competition versus collaboration. I think used correctly, and the problem is that a lot of managers, leaders don't use it correctly, right? They always say, let's introduce some healthy competition. We're going to give a bonus to the best salesperson or the best sales team or the best whatever. And they completely disregard the other teams that work for them, right? So if they, we're going to just give it to the best salesperson. Okay, cool. What about the accountants? What about the HR folks? What about anybody else that doesn't do sales? Do they get a say? Do they get to compete? Because if not, then it's not really fair to them. And I'm not saying competition has to be fair. I'm just saying maybe if you said, hey, I'm going to organize you guys into a couple salesperson with an accountant, with an HR team, and I'm going to compete against the team and the teams, and the best team wins. I don't know, an extra $500 bonus at the end of the quarter. Okay, sure, that's a healthy competition.
Right, because it's going to pull essentially what you're trying to do, especially in the leadership scope of that aspect, is you're trying to pull the team together. And like you said, all tides rises ships. So having a team collaboration effort against another team A versus team B, I mean, as long as you don't overdo it, it can definitely be a healthy competition. But what happens is some managers or some leaders at some positions, they see such great results when they did it the first month. So let's do it the second month and the third month and the fourth month and the fifth month. And what essentially is going to happen is there's going to be burnout of the teams that always come in last place, or the two top teams are now going to essentially become more cutthroat, to where they're hiding stuff from everyone else, or they're doing underhand deals just to try to make that sale happen.
Right, and then so I'm a big proponent of shaking up the teams in that situation, right? So if I'm going to make a team out of all my people, maybe I'll do it for excuse me. Maybe I'll do it for a whole quarter, right? Best team at the end of the quarter wins this. All right, now it's a new quarter. I'm going to shake up the teams. So now I'm going to put the lowest performing salesperson with the highest performing accountant and the middle performing HR, and I'm going to just shake it all up and redo it to, just see what happens and really get everybody working with everybody else. And then maybe after like a year of doing this, I'm going to cut it off and go, all right, cool. Now let's all work together to take down this other company that's across the street or the city or whatever, across town, and now we're going to all work together because we all know each other's jobs, we all know how each other could perform, we all know each other real well. Let's all collaborate together and work to take down this other competitor. And boom, just like that, you've taken it from competition to collaboration to now you're competing in a larger scale against a different company.
Could not have said it better myself, my friend.
Yep. I like it. Until next time, I'm Austin.
I can't believe you're doing that. I can't believe this. I can't.
What?
Listeners, pay attention. Why, Austin, with all this collaborating effort,
would
you collaborate your humidor with a single, a 5, or would you buy a box?
Well, they're all competing for space in my humidor, but I would definitely say this cigar is at least a 5-pack worthy. I don't know that I would buy a box of this. I would do a 5-pack, and if I smoked more of them and really thoroughly enjoyed all 5 of them some more, I would not be upset if I bought a box of them. But I would buy a 5-pack to start out with, just so I could have some more to really smoke.
So it's a solid 5-pack from you, sir.
What about you, good sir? 5 single box.
This cigar is medium, all the way medium. It has just the right amount of pepper. It finishes off with a creaminess. I'm going with a box.
A box of guardrails.
It is box worthy, my friend.
Fair enough. I like it. Like I said, I have not. If I had another one of these to smoke, and I smoked it, with more time to really kind of get into those notes and get into everything, I might change this up to a box. But this is right on a solid 5-pack right now for me.
I wouldn't be mad. I mean,
yeah.
I would like to try the Maduro version. If I see it, I'll pick it up. If you see a guardrail, I strongly recommend you picking it up. I'm pretty sure you was going to anyway.
For sure.
Until next time, I am Dice.
And I'm Austin.
All right.
And remember, great leaders smoke great cigars.
All right. Until next time.
Yep.
Thank you for listening to Leadership of the Leaf. The comments and opinions expressed by the host and guests does not reflect the opinions of those that broadcast this show, nor does it reflect any of our affiliates.